A very good evening. From stories around the world to stories here at home, this is the Nationals broadcast. I'm Vidushni Sadish Kumar.
Good evening, I'm Uvin Hetiarachi and here are today's headlines.
President calls on chief prelates and deputy chief prelates of Malvatta and Asgiri chapters. Circular to remove teacher principal salary anomalies released. Prime Minister says the government commits to create a secure, developed nation. School children between the ages of 12 to 15 to receive COVID vaccines from tomorrow. India reports 90,000 COVID infections in the last 24 hours. The country recorded its first Omicron-related death yesterday. Mass media minister says government will not hinder the freedom of expression at any cost. Public praise over relief provided by the government for home gardening. Rising corona infections disrupt food supply and distribution chains in some parts of Australia.
In your local stories this evening, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa called on the chief prelates and deputy chief prelates of the Malvatta and Asgiri chapters. The President visited the Malvatta Mahavihara and called on Most Venerable Tibbotuave Sri Sumangala Thera and obtained blessings for the new year. The President briefed the chief prelate on the steps taken by the government for the protection and conservation of historical sites of archaeological value. The President also inspected the construction work of the new Vihara Mandira building at the Malvatta temple premises. Subsequently, the President then visited the chief prelate of Asgiri chapter, Most Venerable Varakagoda Sri Naranatha Thera, at the Asgiri Mahavihara and received blessings. President Rajapaksa visited the Asgiri Gadige Raja Mahavihara and paid a courtesy call on the Deputy Chief Prelate of the Asgiri chapter, Most Venerable Veneruve Sri Upali Thera. The President engaged in discussion with the Thera and inquired about the progress of the construction work being carried out at the temple premises. Venerable Anamadwe Dhammadasi Thera invoked blessings on the President at the Asgiri Udagama Vihara by chanting Set Pirit and also commented on the program implemented by the President to take the country forward. President Rajapaksa also called on the Chief Registrar of the Asgiri chapter, Venerable Madagama Dhammananda Thera, and received blessings. Deputy Registrar of the Asgiri chapter, Venerable Narampanave Ananda Thera, and the Mahasangha invoked blessings on the President who arrived at the Asgiri Mahavihara, Mahapirivan, by chanting the Jaya Pirita. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa visited the Malvatta Vihara this morning and received blessings from the Deputy Chief Prelate, Most Venerable Dimbul Kumbure Vimala Dhamma Thera. The Anu Nayaka Thera chanted Set Pirit and invoked blessings on the President. The President called on Deputy Chief Prelate of Malvatta chapter, the Most Venerable Niyangoda Vijayasiri Thera, and engaged in a brief conversation. Venerable Vijayasiri Thera extended wishes for the President's future endeavours and presented a book to commemorate the visit. The President then visited the chief incumbent of Gatambe Rajapavanaramaya and called on Venerable Kapitiagoda Sri Radhasiri Vimala Thera. The President briefed the Thera on the current situation in the country and the aspirations of the government. Secretary to the Ministry of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs, Professor Kapila Gunawardena was also present.
The circular to eliminate salary anomalies of teacher principal services has been published. The provision of the circular will come to effect on January 1st. The salary anomalies of teacher principal services prevail close to 25 years and no previous government took steps to resolve the issue. However, Sri Lanka Podujana Peramana directed its attention to this issue even before coming into power. Therefore, relevant proposals to resolve the issue pertaining to the teacher principal services were presented at the 21st page of the Vistas of Prosperity Policy Statement. This is the first time that an issue on salary anomalies of teacher principal services was incorporated into an election manifesto. Amidst the protest launched by the teachers, government continued to remain on the stance that the issue will be resolved from the budget 2022. Accordingly, a subcommittee to resolve cabinet salary anomalies of teacher principal services was appointed under the chairmanship of Minister Dallas Allah Perma. Presenting the budget for the year, Minister Basil Rajapaksa said that provisions will be allocated to resolve salary anomalies of teacher principal services. Minister Basil Rajapaksa to allocated another 330,000 million rupees to implement the decision taken by Cabinet of Ministers on August 30th, 2021. Accordingly, the Cabinet of Ministers convened on January 3rd granted approval to implement these proposals. The relevant circular in this regard was issued yesterday. The circular issued by Secretary to the Ministry of Public Service, Provincial Councils and Local Government, J.J. Ratnasiri, has indicated that salary revisions will come into effect on January 1st. Meanwhile, teacher trade unions have praised the government move to resolve the salary anomalies. The monthly allowance of 5,000 rupees provided through relief packages introduced by the government will also be allocated for teachers and principals in addition to the increased salary.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says that the government commits to create a secure, developed nation amidst many challenges. The Prime Minister made these remarks while taking part in a ceremony to visit the new three-storied building constructed at Kurunagala Malyadeva Girls' School with the studentship. The staff, including the principal of the Malyadeva Girls' School and students, warmly welcomed Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. Subsequently, the Prime Minister symbolically declared open the three-storied building. Celebrating the 75th anniversary of the Malyadeva Girls' School, a first-day cover with a special commemorative stamp was issued under the patronage of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. Several ministers and public representatives were present at this occasion. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa said that the strength of the students is knowledge. He said that being nurtured with knowledge through education would provide the opportunity for the younger generations to stand on their own feet. He requested the public to nurture their children with knowledge without any discrimination. The Prime Minister pointed out that the younger generation should pursue virtues available through the technology without submitting to voices. He added that the government has allocated a large financial provision for education through the budget this year, unlike any other governments before. He said that the government has committed to create a secure, developed nation for the masses amidst many challenges.
The Human Rights Commission says that report compiled on the gas consumption will be handed over to the President on January 12th. Its Commissioner, Dr. Nimal Karunasiri, made these remarks while addressing a media briefing today. The Commissioner of Human Rights Commission, Dr. Nimal Karunasiri, said that at least 60% of the gas cylinders should have exploded if the cause for explosions is the change in gas composition. Therefore, he said the statement of various entities cannot be accepted since no situation has occurred in the country. Lutrogas Lanka Limited has said that accelerated steps have been taken to streamline the production of distribution of domestic and commercial gas cylinders. The production capacity of LP gas cylinders has also been streamlined. A total of 220,000 domestic gas cylinders have been released to the market in the past 2 days and today. Accordingly, steps have been taken to issue 90 to 100,000 domestic gas cylinders to the market on daily basis to meet the daily LP gas requirements of the country.
Now on to a stock update. The all-share price index of the Colombo Stock Exchange surpassed 13,000 points again today, recording an all-time high in 2 consecutive days. Accordingly, the Colombo Stock Exchange closed today with the all-share price index at 13,195.52 points. The index gained 118.61 basis points during trading today, while nearing the 13,200 mark for the first time. The all-share price index recorded an all-time high at 13,076.91 yesterday. The turnover for the day was recorded at 9.26 billion rupees.
The Ministry of Health has taken steps to provide COVID-19 vaccine for school children between the ages of 12 and 15 from tomorrow. The Deputy Director General of Health Services, Dr. Hemanta Herath, said that the children should be directed for vaccination in accordance to the instructions given by schools.
a decision has been already taken to start the schools in their full capacity from Monday onward, and that is basically now we need to reach to the new normality as early as possible, especially to ensure that all children are given the opportunity to engage in their school activities appropriate to their age as early as possible. So the Ministry of Health has already given its consent to the Ministry of Education to start these activities, provided that the maximum health measures are being adhered to and taken at the school and also outside the school. So I would like to request all stakeholders related to this activity, that is the students, parents, teachers, school authorities, the other non-academic and related stakeholders such as those who are engaged in the transportation of students and also the vendors who are working or engaged in their activities in and around schools, and also the canteens, the non-academic staffs of schools. All these stakeholders should take the responsibility into their hands and make sure that while giving the age appropriate education to the children, make sure that all possible measures are taken to ensure that COVID-19 is not going to be spreading or not going to spread among the school children, or from home to the children and then to the schools, or from school to the children and back to the home. We know that due to the presence of Omicron, several countries have gone into a crisis situation where a large number of cases have been reported, and there are forecasts even in Sri Lanka this could happen. Yes, this can happen if we allow this to spread. So therefore, if we can adhere to the health guidelines and if we get our required vaccines on time, we will not allowing this variant to spread in the country. Thereby, we should be able to prevent any type of crisis situation that other countries are experiencing at the moment. And also, there are reports about the emergence of new variants due to Omicron, and this is theoretically possible basically because whenever there is high transmission, that means there are more and more viruses are generated through their replication of viruses, and this process of replication is the way the new variants are emerging. So more you get the replication or more viruses are created, that means there are more opportunities to create a new variant. So therefore, if we can reduce the transmission, that likelihood can be reduced. So therefore, what we can do is to prevent any emergence of any new variants in Sri Lanka, we should control the spread of the disease.
The Director General of Health Services confirmed 18 COVID-19 related deaths which occurred yesterday. A total of 34,047,790 vaccine doses have been inoculated to the people in the country under the COVID-19 immunization program. Accordingly, 15,996,826 persons have received the first dose of the vaccine, while 13,852,532 have received both the doses. A total of 4,198,427 have received booster dose so far. A total of 15 intensive care patients were donated to the Ratnapura Teaching Hospital yesterday. The donation was jointly sponsored by Hospital Services Support Foundation in USA along with private company in Sri Lanka at a cost of 13 million rupees. Director of the Hospital Services Board of National Hospital of Sri Lanka, Venerable Rajavalle Subbuthithera, handed over the equipment to the hospital director.
The government has implemented a special program on island-wide active home gardening initiatives to mitigate the rising prices of vegetables and fruits. Accordingly, the government has taken steps to provide a special allowance for those who are engaged in home gardening initiatives. The island-wide Apivavamu Ratanagamu home gardening program has been initiated as a pre-preparation over a possible increase of prices of vegetables and fruits and a potential decline of harvests in the future. Accordingly, a 5,000 rupees subsidy will be provided to 1,836,266 home gardening cultivations in less than 20 purchases land. Also, measures have been taken to provide a subsidy worth 10,000 rupees for 2,238,831 home gardening cultivations in more than 20 purchased land. Meanwhile, the government has taken steps to provide an encouraging allowance of 5,000 to 10,000 rupees for the relevant landowners after a period of 6 months based on the success of the cultivations. A total of 31 billion rupees has been allocated by the government in this regard. Funds will be allocated for land preparation and purchasing inputs for cultivations, including seeds. Divisional secretaries, Gram Nildari officers and community leaders will provide the assistance for these initiatives on grassroots level.
Minister Dallas Allaha says that the government will not hinder the freedom of expression in any manner. The minister made these remarks during a ceremony to declare open the Trincomalee District Publication Bureau and a media briefing held with the district correspondents. Minister Dallas Allaha urged the media personnel to engage in their duties in responsibilities based on data and information without relying on assumptions and personal views, which would pave the path to rebuild a respectable media culture. He said the government will not hinder the freedom of expression in any manner under any circumstances. He emphasized that as the subject minister, he will vouch for this statement. The Baton of the Queen's relay leading up to the 2022 Birmingham Commonwealth Games, journeying across the world covering 72 countries, was received by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa last evening. The baton was presented by Chairman of the National Olympic Committee, Suresh Subramanian. Sri Lanka is the 25th destination of the Queen's Baton Relay. Commonwealth Games 2022 will be held in Birmingham, England from July 28 until August 8, 2022. Prime Minister was briefed on the meaning behind the official symbols of the sporting event as well as the baton. Presentation on the showcasing of the baton was organized by the National Olympic Committee under the directions of the Minister Namal Rajapaksa. The baton arrived in the country from Maldives and was displayed in several places during the 3-day journey across the country. The Queen's Baton Relay was commenced on October 7th under the patronage of the Queen of the United Kingdom, Queen Elizabeth. The baton will be held to head to Bangladesh next. Minister Namal Rajapaksa, Secretary to the Prime Minister Gamini Senarath and Secretary to the Ministry of Sport Anuruddha Vijaykorn were present at this occasion.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa inspected the renovation work of the Aleppo Walawa, which is more than 400 years old, at Rajavidya in Kandy this afternoon. The building, which was used as a prison cell during the British colonial period and then a remand prison, was taken over by the Urban Development Authority and developed under the supervision of the Department of Archaeology. All renovation works of the building, which is of historical value, have been carried out without compromising the ancient design of the Walawa. The President gave instructions to complete the renovation immediately. Devada Nilame Nilangadala was also present.
Two youth in Kinigathena Lakshapana area are engaging in organic fertilizer production using bat waste. They are maintaining a successful vegetable cultivation using produced fertilizer. A large density of bats can be found in tunnels and stone caves in the area. Accordingly, bat waste, which can be found in such locations, are being used to produce such fertilizer. The waste collected after much hard work consists of nutrients required for cultivation as per the youth. The current production is at 20,000 to 30,000 kilograms. Farmers have said a successful harvest has been reaped from home gardens in Mahavali L zone. The farmers have used organic fertilizer for their cultivation. They have started on the compost fertilizer production 6 months ago.
The police special task force has arrested a person along with a firearm and more than 9 million rupees earned from international drug trafficking. The arrest was made in Gonapinuwala, Ambalangoda. The raid was conducted based on intel provided by Intelligence Division of the Sri Lanka Army to the Special Operations Center of the task force. The police special task force has said that a sum of more than 9 million rupees, a Pakistan-manufactured pistol, 2 ammunition cases, a satellite phone and a van were uncovered during a raid conducted at a house in Ginimallagaha area, Gonapinuwala. The task force has further indicated that the van alleged to have been used for drug trafficking. Accordingly, the 60-year-old suspect has been handed over to Police Narcotic Division for further investigations. Meanwhile, the police special task force has arrested an individual alleged to be involved in drug trafficking along with heroin and jewelleries in possession. The arrest was made in Sinimodar area, Tangol. The raid was conducted upon an intel received from Sri Lanka Army Intelligence. A sum of 514,000 rupees, jewelleries and 10 grams of heroin were taken into custody during the raid. The 32-year-old suspect has been handed over to Police Narcotics Division for further investigations.
The Ministry of Tourism says that over 11,000 tourist arrivals have been recorded in the first 4 days of the new year. Minister Prasanna Rantunga said that the latest arrivals show the success of the government's initiatives undertaken to uplift the tourism industry. More than 2,000 tourists have arrived from Russia and 1,800 tourists have arrived from India, while more than 1,000 tourists have arrived from Ukraine. Also close to 1,500 tourists have arrived from Germany and England. Meanwhile, the country saw more than 1,000 tourists from Kazakhstan and Maldives, while 420 from Australia, 414 from France and 282 from Poland have arrived in the country in the first 4 days. Close to 200,000 tourists arrived in the country during the year 2021 after reopening the country for tourists following the COVID-19 lockdown. The Ministry of Tourism has indicated that the increase in tourists seen in the last couple of days would attract more tourists to the country during the era. The Minister Prasanna Rantunga pointed out that tourist arrivals could be developed further in order to positively contribute towards the economic situation in the country. Therefore, he said that all citizens should adhere to the health guidelines and receive their respective vaccine doses as advised to contribute to the national economic recovery.
Coconut Research Institute says that illegal coconut plants selling rackets using the name of the institute have been reported from various parts of the country. Therefore, Chairman of the Institute, Dr. Saranga Alapperima, has requested the public to purchase coconut plants from outlets registered with the Coconut Research Institute. Under the SEED Act, the director of Coconut Research Institute has been empowered to certify the coconut plants. Also, certified coconut plants can be purchased from coconut plant nurseries registered with the Coconut Research Institute of the Coconut Plantation Board. The saplings can only be sold at government-certified rates. Accordingly, a normal coconut plant is priced at 250 rupees, while a hybrid plant is priced at 425 rupees. A certified sticker of the Coconut Research Institute is used for coconut plants, and it has been reported that the sticker has been used illegally in many instances. The Coconut Research Institute has indicated that the importation of coconut plants has not been facilitated in the country. The institute has requested the public to report suspicious acts of selling uncertified coconut plants via 1928 hotline.
Now on to sports news. The international schedule for the year 2022 of the Sri Lanka national men's cricket team has been announced by Sri Lanka Cricket. Sri Lanka's international cricketing calendar will begin with one-day international series against Zimbabwe at home this month. Subsequently, Sri Lanka will engage in foreign tours in Australia, India and Bangladesh. The Australian team is expected to tour Sri Lanka for the series during June and July period. Pakistan will also tour Sri Lanka following the Australian series. Sri Lanka hosts T20 Asia Cup tournament during the months of August and September. Following the Asia Cup, Sri Lanka will head to Australia to take part in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup Series. That's it for tonight's English News Update. Thank you for joining us. Good night.
Good night.